What does the end feel like? The last day of a job, the final episode of a series you've loved for years, the moment you close the door on an old apartment for the last time. There's a bittersweet cocktail of emotions, isn't there? Relief, sadness, and most of all, a sense of finality, a sense of freedom. The last day of school is perhaps the most potent version of this. It's a pressure valve releasing years of academic stress, the official start of summer, of boundless possibility. It's a day for signing yearbooks with cheesy messages, for tearful goodbyes, and for a collective, euphoric sprint out the front doors. But that's the story we tell ourselves. The reality is, moments of transition are inherently unstable. They are liminal spaces, thresholds between what was and what will be. And in that chaotic, emotional space, things can go wrong, horribly wrong. What if the final bell isn't an escape? What if it's a starting pistol for a nightmare you can't wake up from? Today, we'll delve into 3 true stories that explore that very idea. These aren't tales of ghosts haunting the hallways. They are about something far more real, and therefore far more terrifying. The monster hiding in plain sight. Our first story takes us back to that bubbling cauldron of hormones and anxiety. Middle school. It's a chilling reminder that the person you ignore every single day might just be the one paying the most attention to you. It happened a couple of years ago, on the last day of 8th grade. The air was thick with excitement and bittersweet goodbyes. My middle school was huge, with over 1,000 students, so to manage the yearbook signing, the teachers collected them all and passed them around to different classrooms. Now, let's pause and think about this for a moment. This tradition, while seemingly innocent, is a psychological and security nightmare. It's an open invitation for anonymous harassment. In an attempt to be efficient, the school unintentionally created a system where the social contract is suspended. It's the pre-internet version of an anonymous comment section. This single benign decision is the crack in the dam that allows the horror to seep through. At the end of the day, I got my yearbook back and eagerly flipped through the pages. But as I scanned them, something caught my eye. A signature below the face of someone I had never seen before. His name was Samuel Robinson III. The message he wrote was short, simple, and deeply unsettling. It read, "Hags, I'll be seeing you again." Hags, of course, stands for "Have a great summer." But it's that second sentence that transforms it from innocuous to ominous. "I'll be seeing you again." This is a classic example of a covert threat. It's deniable. If confronted, Samuel could just say, "I meant in high school." But the target feels the intended menace. It's an assertion of future presence, a promise that says, "This isn't over." The stalker had made his first move, marking his territory. I stared at the page, confused. I'd never spoken a word to this kid. I just chalked it up to some weird kid being weird and tried to forget it. A few hours later, I was hosting a sleepover in my basement with my best friends. Just before 2 a.m., a sharp knock echoed from the storm door. The sound silenced us. Who would knock on a basement storm door? It had to be someone who either didn't want to wake my parents or knew we were down there, or both. And here, we see the escalation. The stalker had bridged the gap between the symbolic world of the yearbook and the physical reality of my home. The choice of the storm door was brilliant in its terrifying logic. It's a secondary entrance, implying knowledge of the house's layout. He was bypassing the formal defenses to establish a private, illicit connection. My friend Kieran loudly asked who was there. After a long pause, a muffled, high-pitched voice answered, "Come around to the back door." It was a teenager's voice, and it sounded cheerful. My friends, unfazed, thought it was exciting and pressured me to check it out. We crept upstairs. As I approached the back door, I could see a shadowy figure through the narrow glass pane beside it. When I got closer, his face came into view. It was him, Samuel Robinson III. That cheerful tone is a critical psychological detail, a tactic called incongruent affect. It's deeply disarming, creating cognitive dissonance that makes you question your own fear. Samuel was masterfully manipulating the social expectations of his peers, hoping to be invited inside. My friends went to open the door, but I stopped them and explained about the yearbook. That changed their mood. Sam was still outside, watching us. Noticing my fear, he motioned towards the side of the house, towards a window. I went to the kitchen window and cracked it open a tiny bit. He walked over. I asked him what he wanted. He smiled and said, "Oh, so you got my message." Then he told me he'd always watched me from afar, that we could have been good friends. The line, "So you got my message," is dripping with triumphant ego. He was confirming this was all a calculated performance. The confession, "I always watched you from afar," revealed the terrifying depth of his obsession. He wasn't seeking friendship. He was seeking possession of my attention and my fear. I had to know, so I asked how he knew where I lived. He didn't respond. Before I could de-escalate, my friend David called him a creepy stalker and told him to piss off. That's when the mask shattered. Sam's smile disappeared. His expression twisted into pure hatred. He started screaming things, how he hated my friends, how we should all die, and personal things he had no right knowing. He reached for the window, trying to force it open, but I jammed it shut. He started snarling and banging on the glass like an animal.
Recounting. The commotion brought my parents rushing down, and Sam ran away. Short pause. The next morning, they contacted the school and we learned the solemnly disturbing truth. Long pause. Sam had been expelled weeks earlier, disbelieving. He had snuck into the school, a place he was barred from, just to write me that message. Anxiously. To this day, the fact that I still don't know how he found my house is what nervous freaks me out the most. This wasn't a crime of opportunity. It was premeditated. His expulsion likely fueled his obsession, redirecting all his focus onto a single target. That final, lingering question, how did he know, is the core of the terror. It represents an informational breach you can't explain. It leaves you feeling permanently vulnerable, because if you don't know how your fortress was breached, you can never know if you've truly fixed the wall.